Welcome to the briefing of the INTERPLAY25 Kinetic Design Competition. I'm Alec Robertson, the INTERPLAY25 Director of the Design Education Trust.
So I will start now with a bit of a presentation that covers what the Trust is about, what I'm about very briefly, and then finally introduces the Interplay competition, which you're all invited to apply to. My guests are Theo Paradise Hurst, who's a design engineer, a new trustee to the Trust, and Rosemary Fordham, another trustee, who is an arts psychotherapist dealing with well-being and arts, and she's also a judge of the competition, and she'll have a few minutes later on. And Maria Vera is a practicing light artist who is working internationally. I think you've got a project in Abu Dhabi at the moment, and we'll give a talk on how light can impact on your thinking. So this is the Trust. It's been going about 10 years, and we've been supporting the RCA for most of that time, and then this module for 4 or 5 years. I am very keen about this module because it's one of those that is pioneering in various ways, both in crossing arts and science and engineering, but also contributes to a competition that we run.
I will now introduce a few notions for the competition and then explain a few details.
I researched crossover between technologies and arts, and this is a diagram which I put together. It really says robotics and multimedia are dynamic technologies. And if you've got dynamic technologies, the logic is you first need the dynamic environment of use, and that's ergonomics, but you also need the dynamic arts. It seems logical, but it's been a difficult thing to put across. So performing arts plus robotics plus multimedia plus ergonomics gives what I call 4D design. Not a term that took off, but nevertheless, it's about the design of the behavior of artifacts in relation to people and their environment. I went to a World Design Conference a couple of weeks ago, which is a jamboree for design international. Anybody go to that? Probably not. It was all Design for the Planet, run by Design Council, and the message was, design can save the world, planet, and humanity, which is all very laudable. No criticism of that ambition, but it's so Design Conference, a very high-level idea. What I took from it was a down-to-earth statement by Thomas Heatherwick, who's a famous architect, and he designed New London bus. What he said, I'd done some research, architects need to admit they've made our cities boring. Okay, and I extend that to products to some extent. Yeah, design education is changing. Every student today is mindful of sustainability and inclusivity, very social. It has followed, I put in quotes, society's challenges, showing that design can contribute to these along with other disciplines upon functionality. However, I ask the question, where does it uniquely lead and excel? And I'm talking about the hybrid design of engineering with arts, really. Design's expected by society to contribute to mental well-being. And that's one of the key things. So it's beyond function, and they provide value through culture by designing beautiful objects, delightful services, and enjoyable tech systems. That's what I acknowledge. And then I say it's contended that an undervalued topic of design education, and where it could lead society, nobody else could do it. Sustainability, everybody's doing that functionally. No criticism, anybody's doing that, but it's a functional thing that all occupational disciplines do. But you can lead by advancing the aesthetics of kinetic design. Nobody's doing that, and it's neglected. So what do we look for in the competition broadly over the last 3 years we run? We're looking for elegant and graceful movement in an object, a physical object, not on screen, but physical. A subtle, mesmerizing light dynamic within that object is another thing we look for. And a new criterion, which was there before, but nobody picked it up, a simple, beautiful sonic. So those three need to be integrated. And the first winner was Interplay 23, was by Joseph Jones, Urban Elegance, and with his colleague. That was exhibited at the RCA, and that is actually a pedestrian crossing. And it was an artistic statement saying, pedestrian crossings are very functional, very boring. They work, they're safe, but perhaps they could be enjoyable too in certain contexts. So he built this and said, essentially, while you're waiting, you could be looking at a sculpture, and on those things hanging down, there is an instruction: stop and go, green and red. Perhaps for when autonomous vehicles come along or benign traffic situations, but he was really saying, yeah, things like that could be interesting. The next year was one large projector, and this was a desktop sculpture which had a little movement and a light at the same time. Impressed the judges, and they won £5,000 to develop it further. We didn't expect it to be a product at the end, but very near, and they exhibited it at the Royal Society of Sculptors last May. That was obviously a computer simulation, but they also built an initial prototype. That was the last slide on there. But this year, their awards are a major one, £4,000 up for grabs for the best one that satisfies the judges. It's a design commission, which means you are asked to say what the budget is, and you work to that, and you get the money for the project. We don't look at every pound that you spend, but it is a fund to enable you to build a better prototype than your proposed model. There's a minor award of £2,000, no condition there. You have that for becoming second. The third, there are £4,000. Again, no conditions, just to say thank you for super ideas. There was only 3 last year, so the prize has gone down. Major's gone down from 5 to 4, but there's an extra third. Then commendation awards, there are several of those, which enables you to exhibit with the prize winners in December, which we video and ensure there's publicity for that. How many commendation awards depends on 2 things. Firstly, are they very good ones? And secondly, is there space in the exhibition space? We had the exhibition at the design bar at Battersea RCA last year, and there was only 10 spaces, but there seems to be more room. So whether we can up that and get more commendation awards in, that's another thing. So we're looking for these. You only need a couple of those, not all of them. Beautiful 3D form. Does it look great? Just to see. Delightful movement. Elegant, interactive, adaptive designs are your modules about interaction, sensors and movement and responsiveness. Mesmerizing visual surface effects or lighting, and mesmerizing sonic effects, the last one, which can be simple. If you can integrate subtle sound, and that's what we're looking for, not just for the video. The competition's open now. The deadline's 15th of November, so quite tight, but the outcomes of this module, you'll have a little bit, I think a week or so before that deadline finishes, to just pull together 5 media items. One is a 3-minute video where you just tell everybody about your design and show what you've done. So that's important 3-minute video. It can be a phone video, don't need to have a professional, but it would have a front and a back end. And then there's an infographic poster, A4 sheet with, just like your degree shows, you've done these before, these posters with your project on it, but also your name and photo maybe. And then there's a high resolution photograph. And so there are 5 media items, not particularly onerous, but your project should provide the media, everything, just to pull that together here. So you've got a bit of an advantage. The competition is open to all DYSON students and all RCA students. How many input, we don't know. It's not great for them, other people, because they haven't got the module. But nevertheless. Then round 2, we shortlist them, and then the exhibition happens and a symposium where each winner, 10 or more, describes what they're doing, and then the judges make a final decision on who gets which award at that point. And then that person who gets the award can work until about May on their project, the final top one. So that's the competition portal. It looks like that. You can sign up, you can fill it out, you can put your draft media items in there right up until the deadline, and only before the deadline, when you submit, do you actually finalize everything? So you can work on it up to that point. These are some of the projects we've had in the past. Light and motion. Beam was an interesting one by graduates here. It was a standard lamp which was robotic, and it moved and glowed and swayed and was a bit choreographed. Nearly won, but not quite. Balanced lamp did win last year, which was extremely simple. So your things don't have to be complicated technology. It can be simple. It's just a lamp which is split into two, and you lift the top part and put it on the stem, and it lights and it wobbles around in the breeze in the air. So that was elegant and simple, and it had a ritual of motion. So the user actions can be thought of as part of the design. So it doesn't need to be a functional action like for switching a switch. It can be a ritual of like an arts. The tea ceremony is one of the things I say. You've got objects, then you've got rituals. Apollo had an AI involved. You told a story to it, and then it changed the lights of the object according to the story. And then they had illuminating the unknown. That took data from Australian beach of algae and represented that on the top fin there. So that was very complicated. Those Apollo and illuminating won £1,000. Balance won 2. Beam was from the previous year, because we only had one major prize. They didn't get anything, unfortunately. I was a bit sad about that. This is another set, and we're adding one thing criterion in the background here, and that's well-being. We found that a number of the objects were very peaceful to look at and assisted that. Conversation bloom, which opened up according to conversation. If the conversation got aggressive, it closed up like a clam and opened up when people were friendly. Breathing light just was linked to the heartbeat of somebody and just was very peaceful and kind of meditative. And the liquid reflection was again a meditative lamp which just glowed and reflected light. This is the YouTube channel with the website. YouTube channel's got lots of past award winners, and you need some super examples of deal with light and motion, and you can be inspired by them. Now, Rosemary is going to say a few words about well-being theory, just to give an indication of what she might be looking for.
So I'm an arts psychotherapist. I work with arts and well-being. I'm also a mindfulness facilitator. So in radical self-care, which is trauma-based mindfulness, there's a model that is referred to, and it's by Professor Paul Gilbert, and it's the emotional regulation system. So his theory is that if this system is all in balance, then we can get through life. It works. Life works. It works for us rather than against us. And there's 3 elements to this system. There's a drive system. You need the drive to get on this course. You need the drive to want to do this competition. It's everything that you want to achieve in life. We need that drive system. And then there's another part of the system, which is a threat system. And the threat system is also really, really important, because we need to know. We need to keep safe in the world. We need to know when there's a threat. So very important. Feelings it can bring up is anxiety, anger, disgust, and really difficult feelings. And then there's another part of the system, which is the soothing system. And the soothing system, this is very underdeveloped. But the soothing, this is where we need help. And this is where we need your help with your design, because we don't, it's not developed, and we have to work at it. We have to work it with the soothing system. When the soothing system is developed within us, we feel contented, we feel safe, we feel protected. When the soothing system is activated, we can be in that place, and we want to be able to spend more time in that place. But in actuality, we can spend a lot of time between drive and threat, going between the two, and not even going to soothing. That's the difference. That's where your design comes in, because you can really, we need all the help. In the wellness industry, we need all the help we can have, and the soothing system, you can really support that for us, which is just really inspiring and fabulous that you can do that.
Thank you, Rosemary. So soothing motion, soothing light, soothing sounds. Okay. Now I'm going to introduce Maria Vera, who's going to show you some super examples of sculptures that deal with light and motion, and you can be inspired by them.